Rule 1 of 12. 40% of frequent flyers avoid overhead bins for a very specific reason. Why? Because once that latch clicks and the flight attendants start their safety demo, your essentials are locked away for hours. Take Noah, a 41-year-old civil engineer flying out of London Heathrow, LHR. He boarded his flight, tossed his backpack into the bin, and sat down in seat 22B. As the plane pushed back from the gate, Noah felt a cold sweat. He realized his prescription heart medication and his noise-canceling headphones were trapped 6 feet above his head. For the next 8 hours, he sat in silence, worrying about his health and enduring the crying baby in the row behind him. The solution is the 3-bag strategy. Use your carry-on for clothes, but always have a small survival pouch for your tech, meds, and chargers. Keep this pouch under the seat in front of you. Noah now uses a small 6x9-inch tech organizer for every trip. Most airlines allow 1 personal item, and this small addition saves your sanity when the seatbelt sign stays on for hours. It is a vital survival tactic that seasoned travelers never skip to ensure they always have what they need within arm's reach. Reality check. This won't give you more leg room, but it gives you control over your immediate environment. Now, prepare yourself for the high-tech security trap that is actually slowing you down. Rule 2 of 12. Look closely at that sleek new security scanner next time you are at the airport. Sophia, a 32-year-old marketing specialist, thought her morning at Frankfurt, FRA, would be a breeze. The airport recently installed advanced CT technology. These machines theoretically allow you to keep liquids and laptops inside your bag. But Sophia stood there, fuming, as the minutes ticked by. The line moved at a snail's pace. Why? These high-tech units generate complex 3D images that take significantly longer for staff to analyze than old-school X-rays. Sophia watched the clock hit 7:15 a.m. while the belt stayed frozen. It was maddening. Always arrive early, regardless of the technology promised. Preparation beats automation every single time. Sophia barely made her flight, sprinting through the terminal to reach gate B14 just before the doors closed. The reality is that new tech often has a learning curve for security staff, which can lead to unexpected bottlenecks. Always have your electronics easily accessible just in case they ask you to pull them out anyway. Now, you have survived security, but your privacy is about to face a whole new challenge at the boarding gate. Rule 3 of 12. Lucas, a 45-year-old librarian, stood at gate C12 in Raleigh-Durham, RDU, clutching his boarding pass. A sleek camera mounted on a tripod pointed directly at his face as a small green light flickered. By the end of 2026, the TSA aims to make your face your boarding pass at most major hubs. Most people walk through the biometric gates without a second thought, assuming it is mandatory for travel. But Lucas felt uneasy about his biometric data being stored or shared with third parties. Stop. You actually have a choice. Lucas approached the gate agent and politely requested a manual document check instead of the facial scan. Under current U.S. Customs and Border Protection policies, U.S. citizens have the right to opt out of facial recognition at many domestic boarding points. The agent simply verified his physical ID and scanned his paper boarding pass manually. It is a standard procedure that many travelers ignore because they are in a rush. Reality check. Opting out adds about 2 to 3 minutes to your boarding process, so stay patient and arrive at the gate early. Lucas boarded his flight with his privacy intact and his mind at ease. But how do you stay healthy once that heavy cabin door finally seals you in? The next move is the high-altitude health protocol every pro uses. Rule 4 of 12. Have you ever wondered what is actually living on that tray table in front of you? Mia, a 27-year-old pastry chef from Helsinki, HEL, found out the hard way. She sat down, lowered her tray, and set her snack directly on the plastic surface. It looked spotless, but looks are deceiving in a cabin that only gets a deep clean once every few weeks. Research indicates that tray tables can harbor over 2,150 colony-forming units of bacteria per square inch. To put that in perspective, a toilet flush button in the same plane usually averages around 265. That is 8 times more germs right where you eat your mid-flight meal. Stop. Here is the fix. Always carry sanitizer wipes with at least 60% alcohol. Wipe the entire surface, the latch, and even the air vent above your head. Mia never travels without them now, and she avoids touching her face until she has sanitized her immediate area. While wipes won't kill every single microbe, they drastically lower your risk of picking up a nasty bug during your trip. Reality check. You don't need to be a germaphobe, but a 10-second wipe down can prevent a week of post-vacation illness. Germs are gross, but wait until you see how the very air you breathe affects your body at 30,000 feet. Rule 5 of 12. The air inside a plane at 35,000 feet is actually drier than the Sahara Desert. If you feel a nagging headache or sand in your eyes, it is not just the lack of sleep, it is the altitude. Benjamin, a 36-year-old insurance agent, learned this the hard way at Austin Bergstrom, AUS. After a long flight from London, he felt completely drained and blamed his exhaustion on jet lag. Stop. It was severe dehydration. Cabin humidity often plunges below 12%, which is significantly lower than most office buildings or homes. Here's the fix. Drink 8 ounces of water for every hour you spend in the air. Skip the second soda or the extra cup of coffee, as caffeine can act as a diuretic and make the problem worse. Use lubricating eye drops before the burning sensation even starts. While this won't completely cure jet lag, it prevents the physical crash that makes recovery so difficult. Benjamin started hydrating before he even boarded at AUS, and his recovery time tripled on his next trip. Reality check. Drinking more water means more trips to the small airplane lavatory, so choose an aisle seat if you plan to stay hydrated. Ready for more? The next secret could save you from a medical emergency. Rule 6 of 12. Keep your legs moving, or you might risk a serious medical emergency during your next long-haul flight. Isabella, a 54-year-old journalist, knew the risks better than anyone. Yet, on a 10-hour flight from Minneapolis, MSP, to Paris, CDG, she stayed in her seat the entire time, focused on her deadline. By the time the wheels touched down at the airport, her right calf felt tight and unusually warm. This is the silent warning sign of deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. Sitting for over 4 hours in a cramped cabin causes blood to pool in your lower extremities. It is a ticking clock for your circulatory system. To avoid this, you should try to walk every hour the aisle is clear. If you are stuck in your seat due to turbulence,
Perform ankle pumps by lifting your toes and heels 20 times every hour. Wearing compression socks can also significantly improve blood flow by applying gentle pressure to your lower legs. Isabella caught her symptoms early and sought medical help, but many travelers aren't as lucky.
Reality check. Compression socks aren't exactly a fashion statement, and they won't prevent all clots. But they are a vital layer of protection for flyers. Now, stay tuned, because your wallet is about to get some protection too. Rule 7 of 12. William slumped into seat 14B at Washington Reagan, DCA, desperate for a nap before his meeting. He leaned his head against the cold window, but an hour later he jolted awake with a sharp pain in his neck. His eyes felt like they were filled with sand. This is what frequent flyers call the airplane hangover. Why does it happen? Because you are fighting gravity and artificial light without a proper plan. When your head drops forward while you sleep, it puts nearly 60 pounds of pressure on your spine. Stop. Here is the fix. Flip your travel pillow around. Putting the opening at the back supports your chin and prevents the head drop that ruins your sleep and your posture. Combine this with a high-quality eye mask and a glass of water before drifting off. It worked perfectly for William on his return flight, leaving him refreshed and ready for work. Reality check. Coach is never going to feel like a 5-star hotel, but you can avoid the physical pain of a bad nap. Now that you have mastered the art of sleeping in the sky, do you know your hidden financial rights if things go south? Rule 8 of 12. Do you realize that the constant hum during your flight is actually damaging your hearing over time? Evelyn, a 39-year-old data scientist from Dublin, DUB, certainly felt the effects during her 8-hour trek across the Atlantic. The engine drone inside the cabin often hits about 85 decibels. Imagine standing next to a loud lawnmower for an entire 8-hour workday. That is exactly what your ears endure, often leaving you with a splitting headache and ringing ears when you land. Stop. The fix is simpler than you think. Smart travelers prefer sitting in front of the wings or in the very back of the plane to reduce noise levels significantly. Active noise-canceling headphones are a lifesaver for frequent flyers, but even cheap foam earplugs can drop the volume by about 30 decibels. Reality check. Nothing makes a jet engine completely silent, but protecting your ears means you won't land feeling like you just left a loud rock concert. Protecting your health is important, but what about the money the airlines might owe you for their mistakes? Rule 9 of 12. Airlines bumped over 30,000 passengers last year, yet most travelers simply accept a tiny meal voucher and wait for the next flight. When Alexander, a 51-year-old financial advisor, arrived at New York JFK, he expected a smooth trip. Instead, he stood at gate B23 while the agent announced his flight to London was overbooked. The airline representative offered a $100 travel credit to anyone willing to take a flight the next morning. Alexander almost took it. Stop. If you are involuntarily bumped because the airline sold too many tickets, they might owe you significant cash. This is known as denied boarding compensation under U.S. DOT regulations. If the airline can't get you to your destination within 1 to 2 hours of your original time, you are often eligible for 200% of your one-way fare. If the delay is more than 2 hours, that compensation jumps to 400%, capped at $1,550 in cash as per 14 CFR. Alexander did not ask for a credit. He specifically asked for a check. He walked away with $1,200 and a hotel room for the night. Reality check. This rule only applies to overbooking, not weather or mechanical delays. Now, get ready for the 24-hour secret that could save your bank account. Rule 10 of 12. Check your confirmation email immediately after hitting the purchase button. Charlotte, a 29-year-old real estate agent, was sitting at a cafe in Chicago when she realized she'd booked a flight to Portland, Maine, instead of Portland, Oregon. Her heart raced as she stared at the non-refundable ticket on her screen. She was sure her $450 was gone forever. Stop. You aren't stuck with that mistake. Under U.S. DOT rules, specifically 14 CFR 5, airlines must allow you to cancel a booking for a full refund within 24 hours, provided you bought the ticket at least 7 days before the flight departure. Charlotte didn't panic. She called the airline and politely requested a refund under the 24-hour policy. It worked perfectly. You can also use this trick for price drops. If you see a lower fare within that 24-hour window, cancel your original flight and rebook to save hundreds. Reality check. Some third-party booking sites have different rules, so it is usually safer to book directly with the airline. But what happens if the airline makes the mistake and loses your luggage? Rule 11 of 12. Henry stood at the empty luggage carousel in San Francisco, SFO, watching the last belt come to a halt. He checked his watch for the 10th time. He had a major presentation in 4 hours, but his suitcase with his suit and materials was likely still sitting in a terminal in Chicago. The baggage agent told him to just go home and wait for a call. But Henry knew his rights. Most airlines won't mention it, but under DOT baggage rules, they are often required to reimburse you for reasonable interim expenses when a bag is delayed. This includes toiletries, chargers, and even necessary clothing for a business meeting. Henry didn't panic. He calmly asked the service desk for their written expense policy. The agent's tone shifted instantly when they realized he knew the regulations. Reality check. This isn't a blank check for a shopping spree. Keep every single receipt and stay under a reasonable limit, which is usually around $50 to $100 for the basics. Henry bought a new shirt and tie, knowing the cost would be covered. Now for the final secret that could land you a better seat for free. Rule 12 of 12. Have you ever wondered why that middle seat in the exit row stays empty while you are cramped in the very back of the plane? Luna, a 31-year-old architect from Boston, was heading home from Brussels, BRU, after a long project. Her flight was packed, and the computer had assigned her a tiny middle seat near the lavatories. Usually, complex algorithms handle upgrades based on frequent flyer status, leaving regular travelers with no options. But here is the secret. While computers handle the first-class upgrades, gate agents still control preferred seating for weight and balance requirements. Luna approached the agent and politely asked if any exit row seats were available to help balance the load of the aircraft. Since the plane was tail-heavy, the agent moved her to a seat with 5 extra inches of legroom for free. It is not a guaranteed luxury suite, but it works surprisingly often when passenger loads are uneven. Luna enjoyed her 8-hour flight in total comfort without paying a penny extra. Reality check. This depends entirely on the agent's discretion and the specific physics of the flight, so always be polite. Don't be the passenger the airlines take advantage of. Hit subscribe to keep winning the travel game.